But then she started trying to find a church that would be suitable for the family, which, you know, sort of was quite welcoming for the kids. So she looked on the internet, I think it was, and she found out about Aldridge. So she came to one service. I was actually at the, sorry about this, Richard, I was at the Villa Blues game. I don't know if you remember the score, would you? Can't remember the score now, it was 5-0. Sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I was, and Louise came and she come back and she was really full of it. She was like, oh, you've got to go, it's fantastic. You know, they were talking about football and stuff, and I'm like, that's not church. That's not church. So she said, will you come? So the following week I came, and it was a talk on, it was like a Star Wars thing. Yeah, lightsabers everywhere and everything. I was like, whoa, this is not my impression of church. Because you do get this impression of what church, well, I did have this impression of what church was like, quite staid, and, you know, you weren't allowed to speak to the kids and, you know, so I come in and I was really surprised. And I actually grew up on Star Wars, so for me it was fantastic. Really, no, I didn't know. And then everything, you know, that surprised me, and then the worship was obviously, like the band and everything, I was like, whoa, it was quite, you know, stood out for me. But even then, so I was like, yeah, okay, I've been, and, you know, I wasn't sure I was going to make this a regular thing, or, you know, I was obviously impressed with the church and stuff, but then Louise had sort of says, oh, you know, we should look into doing an Alpha course, and I'd seen the signs, like, on the buses about, is there more to life than this? And I was like, yeah, I mean, it was really bad really, but I was sort of caught me on the hop because she sort of asked me when I think I was watching some random game on the telly, probably not even the Villa, like a 3rd division game or something. And she goes, oh, are you up for this Alpha? And I was like, yeah, okay. So yeah, and the next thing I know, I was signed up, you know, it was like on the Thursday at work, she phoned me and says, you know, we've got Alpha tonight. I was like, what's this? Well, you know, I didn't really know what was going on, so anyway, you know, I signed up, so I went, and me and Louise went to the first Alpha. It was at Tynings Lane, and it was, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I went with an open mind, but like you said earlier in your question about emotional, I'm not an emotional person really, and don't let my feelings show. I'm more of a bottler than bottle it up. So I say my mind was open, but my heart was definitely, I'd say, closed to the idea. I thought, not from a real strong standpoint where I'm going to refute everything everyone says, but not really open to that kind of thing. So I went, didn't know what to expect, and it was really welcoming. They got my name wrong for the first 3 weeks, didn't they, Rob? I was Stuart for the first 3 weeks instead of, so it's Steve. Yeah, and it was really informal. It was fantastic, really. Like I said, I didn't know what to expect, and we saw, you know, you have the meal, some wine, and you just sit round with other like-minded people, and you just generally have a chat, and then there's obviously a talk, which isn't Bible bashing by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not preaching at you, just telling you about Christianity in practical terms, and I just found it really informative, and I thought, yeah, I could come back next week. So that was the start, really. I mean, I was a bit nervous when they said they were going to lock the doors, but they actually didn't. So you could escape if you wanted. No one did. No one tried to run out. But yeah, so we carried on going, and it just got more and more informative. And something sort of really touched me when I sort of found out. But it moved on to talking about Jesus, and then it just something got me hooked then, you know, when you heard about sort of what this guy had done for us, you know, and it was just like a bit, whoa, and you sort of started to open my eyes a bit.
You were reading a book at the same time as well?
Oh yeah, I was reading a book called Turning Points by Robert Vaughan, and it was like a bit to complement the Alpha course really. It was about, obviously, turning points, you know, about your life and the way it's going. So I was reading this book, doing the Alpha, and then about 4 weeks in, I think, yeah, it was the week before the away day, we was in our we got a caravan in Wales, in mid Wales, where we take the family every weekend, and I was reading this book, and I couldn't put it down. It was just so relevant with the Alpha and this book, and it sounds really corny, but it was like it was talking to me, you know, about the way my life was, and I couldn't put this book down. And I think it was about, well, it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I was sat up in bed reading this book. Louise was asleep, and I got to the last page, and there was a sinner's prayer in there, and you know, everything I'd learnt on Alpha in this book, and I just thought, you know, I'm just going to go for it. What have I got to lose? So I read this prayer, you know, tried to do it as much from the heart as possible, you know, really meaning it, and waiting for something to happen, and I was like, no, I'm not going to get that shabba-dabba-doo moment. So that was fine. I read the prayer, and yeah, so I sat there and I thought, well, I've got to tell someone. Louise was fast asleep next to me. Lou, she was like looking at me, what's up? I've read the prayer, I've done it, you know, I've committed my life to Christ. And she was like, you were supposed to wait for me. She was I was waiting for you, and I'm like, oh, I didn't read it properly, we can do it again. So we did, we sat up in bed, say 1 o'clock in the morning, and we read this prayer together, which it was amazing really to do that together. Yeah, and then the next day, again, this sounds really corny, but we took the kids to the beach. It was about 50 minutes to the beach. So we got in the car, and I remember driving in the car, and it was a nice and everything in the sky, and I just remember really being on a high for that whole day. And Lou was like going, what's the matter with you, like, you're off your head or something? And yeah, but I was like on a real high the whole day, and it was really fantastic. And we texted Rob Cook, and told him, you know, what we'd done, and he sent a text straight back, and he said, that's the best decision you'll ever make. And I can honestly say to this day that, yeah, I still think that, yeah, it's been a short journey so far, you know, around 8 months, but in that time it's just been absolutely amazing, really.
Excellent, that's fantastic, isn't it? Is Alpha the end of the journey for you? What happens next?
No, Alpha's certainly not the end. We moved on to a beta group with a lot of the people that were on our Alpha course, which is absolutely fantastic, and just learning more about God, and you know, getting into the Bible, and you know, breaking it down, picking the bones out of it, and it's just absolutely amazing, the insight into that. And obviously we had the baptism and the confirmation, that was an amazing day as well, because that was like, although sort of in your heart, you know you've turned to Christ, I think that was nice, like a public thing to say, I'm here kind of thing, you know, and to let all the church family know as well. So yeah,
that's brilliant.
I never envisaged standing up here doing this like 12 months ago, so for me to do it, if there's anyone that you can think of, you know, or there might be people here that are umming and ahhing about Alpha, I just recommend that you go and do it, give it a go. Because you know, if someone like me, just an ordinary bloke, can come and do it, it's open to absolutely everyone. So anyone you can think of, I can't sing Alpha's praises high enough. It's absolutely a fantastic tool to, you know, learn people about Jesus. So sorry about that.